Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here, the Horror Boy. Welcome back to some more reviews. And I had realized that I had touched on the original My Bloody Valentine. Of course, I had reviewed that a lot closer to Valentine's Day than this video is being recorded. But I figured I would finish the reviews I'd started. And I realized that I forgot to talk about this movie. And I reviewed My Bloody Valentine once before. And even then, I forgot to touch on the remake. So I figured since, I hadn't watched the movie in a long time, like years, and B, I had never really talked about this movie on the channel. Maybe once before, like a long time ago. Maybe. And that was probably when I first started making YouTube videos, and those videos are long gone, so it has been a minute since I've watched it and reviewed it and even talked about it on the channel. And so this is one of those movies where I really haven't talked about it on the channel before. I mean, like I said, maybe once before, but that was years ago. And yeah, I figured that since I had already reviewed the original and I'd already reviewed Valentine from 2001, I might as well cap off those reviews, even though I'm very late to capping off those reviews, with my review on the My Bloody Valentine remake, which of course the big marketing thing was that it was in 3D. This is a 2009 remake, and pretty crazy. I remember when this movie came out, I remember seeing the advertisements for it everywhere. You know, whether you were renting movies or you were going to the theater, I remember seeing a lot of advertisements for this and The Final Destination, or Part 4 of that series. I remember seeing advertisements for this and that all over TV, all over the movies we were renting at the time. So it's definitely a very well marketed movie, as in it was everywhere. And at this time, there was a really interesting thing going on with films where a lot of movies were being advertised as 3D. It was this big resurgence of 3D in horror. And you had Saw 3D, Piranha 3D, then you had the sequel Piranha 3 Double D. You had The Final Destination, which was a big 3D thing. You had a lot of movies coming out at the time that were doing the whole 3D gimmick, which a lot of them don't age very well because these movies, a lot of them don't look very good in 2D. A, because the effects don't hold up very well, and B, the movies always looked a little bit, I guess, cheaper or like less atmospheric or something. I don't know. A lot of these movies that were done in 3D just don't seem like they have that atmosphere like a normal movie does, or doesn't really have the same look as maybe it's a 2D movie. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I can kind of tell when a movie was originally intended to be 3D. And of course, this DVD does have a 3D version, which I tried to watch, and, I thought, I thought I was going to be able to watch it. It's crazy. You got a Saw 6 advertisement on the back right here. It's crazy. But I attempted to watch this movie in 3D, and I got about 10 minutes in, and I started to get dizzy and get a headache, so I had to turn it off. But, effort, E for effort. I do appreciate the fact that they do have a 3D version to at least check out on the DVD. But this was a film that back in 2009 I remember hearing a lot about, and yeah, I remember not really liking this movie. This actually for a long time was one of my least favorite remakes out there. Because you gotta understand, the original movie, with the gore effects being put back in there, I thought was one of the best slasher movies I'd seen. I mean, it really is. It's a quality slasher movie. For the genre, it's a very simple genre, and it's a very straightforward genre. For a lot of slasher movies that don't stick out, that one does. And I feel like it's one of the best slasher movies of the bunch. And when they made this movie, I didn't watch it back when it first came out, or maybe I did, but I don't remember too much from when I'd first seen it. But I know I definitely seen it after the original movie, and I don't know. For some reason, to me, I remember the effects being a lot worse. And I remember not caring about the characters or the story or really anything about the movie. And so for a long time, I hated this movie. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was one of the worst remakes of the bunch. And for years, it was getting a lot of praise as being, one of the better remakes. And for a long time, I really didn't understand that. But rewatching this movie again, it really did change my mind on this movie. And it doesn't happen very much. A lot of times when I don't like a film and I revisit it, I still kind of have the same thoughts. Where I'm like, yeah, it still doesn't really hold up. This, however, definitely changed. I mean, first of all, I want to get into the plot. Very similar plot to the original. Not exactly the same, but a very similar plot. Where you still have characters, like Axel, like Tom. You have some of the characters coming back from the original, and you do have sort of a love triangle thing going on. But it's not the exact same. But basically, the movie starts out with, of course, the mining accident where you have Harry Warden and this other guy who's pretty much new to the town. Or not really new. His father owns the mine. I think it's the guy from Supernatural, which is funny because he would be in this, and the exact same time you had the guy Jared Padalecki from Friday the 13th. He was in the Friday the 13th remake, but they were both in Supernatural. They both were doing horror film remakes at the time. That Jared Padalecki was also in the House of Wax remake, but he's this character that is playing Tom, who's, I guess, his father owns the mine, and basically, I believe Tom causes this accident that happened, the mines blow up, and basically Harry Warden's in the hospital, but then he escapes and starts killing people and massacring people, and Tom and his friends are all hanging out at the mines, and Harry Warden arrives and starts slaughtering people. Harry Warden gets shot a couple times, gets away. They don't know if he died or not, and it's years later, and Tom has come back to town, and these murders start happening. And they don't know if it's a copycat of Harry Warden or if it's Harry Warden, because nobody actually seen Harry Warden die. And so the movie kind of goes sort of a similar route where you're wondering, is it somebody in town? Is it Axel, because Axel was the killer in the original movie? Is it some new killer? Is it like, what's going on here? And I'll be honest, this movie definitely is a lot better than I thought it was. It's not as good as the original, but I do think it is. Honestly, I will admit this. I, think this is one of the better remakes, because to me, I really got into the idea that there's a lot of brutal kills in this movie, and it has a really fun tone to it. And it definitely does try its best to not only pay homage to the original, but try to hold its own against the original as far as kills go. I mean, you have a huge body count in this movie. The gore is definitely there. The effects are a lot better than I remember them being. There are a few CGI shots here and there of gore, but for the most part, the effects don't look bad. They look pretty passable, and pretty good, actually. You get a lot of creative kills. There's a lot of fun stuff in the movie. It definitely has a fun environment and a fun atmosphere to it. And I had mentioned before that 3D movies at this time, just for some reason to me, they just didn't have a good look to them. Like, a lot of them look cheap and don't have an atmosphere. Whereas this one I thought was actually filmed rather well and does have a decent atmosphere to it. And I didn't hate the characters. The acting was pretty decent. I also just thought the movie was pretty fast-paced. An hour and 41 minutes. I think it could have been trimmed down to about just an hour and a half. But it wasn't too boring. It wasn't too slow. It was, what you expect from a Bloody Valentine movie. It's a fun, fast-paced, just really gory, fun ride. And some of the 3D gags are a little bit fun to watch as well. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it around this time. Well, should I say, this time around, I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it as much as I used to. I don't know why before I had not enjoyed this movie whatsoever. Like I said, it does have some issues. The music I thought was kind of eh. I mean, there are some bits of the soundtrack I don't mind as far as songs in the movie, but not really a great not really a great score to the movie. Like I said, the pacing isn't too bad, but it could have been just an hour and a half. I do feel like it kind of went in that third act a little bit over time. It's kind of hard to explain because it's not boring. It's just like you could tell like it kind of dragged a little bit towards the end. I thought they could have made the ending a little bit more snappy, but I also watching this movie again, I seen the twist coming a mile away. And even if I didn't know how this movie ended, there is a clear way you could determine this movie's ending. And it is one of the most predictable endings to a movie. But besides that, and maybe a few CGI shots don't really hold up, there's a lot of fun stuff in the movie. There's a scene where there's a really hot chick, you get full frontal nudity, and she's like, she's having sex with this guy, which actually I think the guy is the writer of this in Jason X. He's the bald guy who's in Jason X, who's in that simulation part where, drop the kid now. They're playing that simulation game and Jason chops the dude in half. And it cuts the bald guy's head off. He's in this scene and they both end up getting murdered by Harry Warden, or a killer who's very similar to Harry Warden. And it's pretty brutal. And you also have a scene where a little person comes in and he just takes this pickaxe and swings it and he hits her under the chin, but she goes through the roof. It was a crazy ass kill scene. So there's a lot of fun moments like that. There's a lot of good chase sequences. It has a very solid atmosphere. It definitely is a movie that I've changed my mind on. I mean, you have Patrick Lussier making this movie, which he's been involved with quite a few movies. He made The Prophecy 3, Dracula 2000, as well as the sequels to that, White Noise 2. So he's definitely, I guess he also directed some of the Purge TV series, directed an episode of that. Which I'll admit, Dracula 2000, I don't use the term guilty pleasure too much, but that definitely is a guilty pleasure for me. I just really enjoy that movie. But yeah, this movie's not bad. It's got some decent direction by Patrick Lussier. It's got a good cast, got some decent acting. It's a very fun, straightforward slasher movie. I wouldn't say it's as good as the original, but I think it definitely deserves a solid 7 out of 10. It's not bad. It's not flawless, but I enjoyed it a lot more than I used to. A lot of crazy gore, a lot of crazy kill scenes, some nudity in there. You've got a little bit of the love triangle aspect, a little bit of the mystery aspect. The twist, I thought, was predictable, where instead of it being Axel, it's Tom. And he's crazy, and he has this, where he sees Harry Warden, but he doesn't realize that he starts killing people. So in a way, he's kind of taken on, I don't know how to describe it other than the curse of Harry Warden, or the Harry Warden is kind of part of his personality now, which I thought was a really just predictable ending. And the very ending of the movie being sequel bait ending, I thought was a really interesting way to end it, because you never did get a sequel. So it's funny, you have the original, which sets up for a sequel, which it never got. Then you have the remake, which sets up for a sequel, which it doesn't get. But yeah, overall, not a bad movie at all. I give it a solid 7 out of 10. Maybe 6.5, around there somewhere. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the review. If you've seen this movie, let me know your guys' thoughts on this one in the comments below. But anyways, thank you guys so much for checking out my reviews on the My Bloody Valentine films. They've been a lot of fun to revisit. I know I barely got these reviews done in February, but yeah, I tried. E for effort. But anyways, thanks for watching my reviews in these movies. I really appreciate all the support, and I appreciate you guys watching and checking out the videos. Anyways, thanks so much for watching the review. Hope you guys enjoyed, and the Explorer 4 is out. I'll see you guys later. Peace.